and welcome to a look at Comic Bakery for the Commodore 64, a Konami arcade original that was converted by Imagine, in which you play the role of Joe the Baker. Joe has this loaf machinery factory thing, and your task is to make sure that Joe can deliver as many loaves as possible by making sure that the machines are constantly running and the loaves are protected as much as it is possible to do. If you look at the top of the screen, not necessarily the score, but just beneath that, you can see there is this radar thing which indicates the status of the different machines and any loaves moving on the conveyor belts. If the machines are blinking red, they are switched off and you have to switch them back on again, and if they're yellow, they are on and everything is good to go. Your time frame is to make sure to have as many loaves delivered by 5 PM. So the more loaves you make sure reaches the truck, the more points you'll get when you get your rating for the level, of course. And then you move on to the next level where you do exactly the same as you have been doing on any other level. Now, of course, you need some opposition or the game wouldn't have any chance at all. It's barely got any chance as it is, but the opposition you are facing are in the shape of raccoons. Because why not? These raccoons will come in two levels. The bottom level, you will have raccoons coming in from either side, which will happily switch off the machines. How? I don't know, but they manage to. They must be engineering raccoons. But then, of course, you also have the raccoon on the middle level, which will eat the loaves, which, of course, is a much bigger problem for you, because the raccoons at the lower level will just slow down your delivery, whereas the raccoon at the middle level can outright prevent it by eating what you're trying to deliver. You're not entirely defenseless. You have this extremely powerful stun gun that can stun the raccoons for about 1/8 of a second, and while they are stunned you can kick them out of the factory. The raccoon on the middle level you can only stun and do nothing else, so you have to try and time your stun in such a way that the loaves can slide past without being eaten. And that's the game in a nutshell. There's virtually no challenge in this game. It's a bit annoying, but challenging? I wouldn't say so. The problem you're facing is if you run to one side of the screen in order to switch the machine on that's been switched off, a raccoon will spawn on the opposite side of the screen immediately and switch that machine off. So basically, if you want to keep all three machines going at all times, you can do nothing but running back and forth, which of course makes for extremely exciting gameplay. And the best way to play this game is to just babysit one machine and make sure that the loaves are reaching the next machine, and then start babysitting that and try to prevent the raccoon on the middle level from eating the loaves, which is easier said than done because of course the stun effect of your stun gun is virtually non-existent. If I'm alluding to the fact that this is somewhat samey, then it's not by a coincidence. From a graphical point of view, the Baker himself is a bit stereotypically a large man. I've known quite a few bakers in my time, which are slim fellas. And ladies, of course. I mean, could be either. And this fight is a bit deliberately goofy, I suppose, but it's nothing particularly spectacular, but not necessarily ugly either. The raccoons, I suppose they sort of look like raccoons, but they could also look like small dogs or something else. But for the betterment of everyone. Let's just agree they are raccoons. They are sort of, yeah, they are. The rest of the graphics is as basic as it needs to be in order to be anything but ASCII graphics, but it's not particularly interesting to look at, in all honesty. Between levels there's a minute color change, and that's about it. You can play this game with sound effects or music, but I never tried with sound effects because I saw no reason to. The title track is decent enough, and I'm fairly sure I've heard it elsewhere. But the in-game tunes are a bit... I suppose they're supposed to be these happy, cheerful tunes, but I find them a bit boring, to be honest. It's possibly too quiet for my style. I mean, I'm not expecting every single game to have this upbeat, fast-paced music, but yeah. It probably suits the game quite well, but for me it's a bit meh. All the graphics and the sound, of course, were not made for a game. It's the gameplay. And I have to admit, from my experience with this game, I wonder why Imagine bothered. Now, I can't remember having... well, I know I haven't played this arcade, but I can't remember whether I've seen it or not. I can't necessarily remember every single game I've ever seen, but I suppose if I have seen it and not remembering it, then it's probably because it wasn't worth remembering. I remember all the other classic games I've played, so in that regard. Anyway, I have very little reference point to the arcade original, but I can say that if the arcade machine was remotely as interesting as this game, or this version of the game, then it probably wouldn't have earned an awful lot of money. The game is, what can I say? There's no inherent excitement, there's no inherent challenge, there's no inherent anything except for run back, run forwards, be annoyed by the fact that you can't prevent the middle level of a raccoon from eating lows, and carry on until you get bored and decide to do what I do after reaching level 9, which is, as I said, lack of challenge. This was the most fun I had with this game. Each to their own, of course. Some people will probably love this game more than anything else they've ever played, and good on them, but for me this is far too samey and simple. On that note, thanks for watching, take care, see you next time, bye bye.